Today, we're delighted to welcome Paul Carty, current chairperson of Fáilte Ireland and a much respected figure in our industry. I was very lucky to work with Paul when he held the prestigious position of Guinness Storehouse Managing Director for a hugely successful 20 years, when he also pioneered the evolution of AVIA, Ireland's Association of Visitor Experience and Attractions. So Paul, delighted to see you again. The last time we met, you were on the eve of retiring. Can I ask what tempted you back?
Good morning, and thank you. I'm not back, really. I'm still retired. I retired after 22 and a half years at the Guinness Storehouse, which I loved. And I was already on the board of Fáilte Ireland. So I'd been doing that work for over 5 years. And obviously I stayed on, and I'm enjoying it very, very much. And I'm doing a small little bit of work in London with another creative organization. But despite all of that, I'm playing at least 2 days a week golf, not playing it well, but I am playing. And I'm enjoying myself and traveling with my wife and doing all sorts of things together. So I am actually retired, believe it or not.
I'm so glad to hear it, because last time we talked, you were talking about playing golf, and that's what you were looking forward to, and of course traveling with your wife. So I'm glad you've incorporated all that.
Very much so.
Yeah. And I know Fáilte Ireland are extremely glad to have you back, even on that basis. So yeah, we're very grateful. Yeah. And what has surprised you most about taking on the role of chairperson of Fáilte Ireland? It's a extremely prestigious position, and so well respected.
Yeah, I suppose what surprised me most or impressed me most is the kind of broadness of Fáilte Ireland. It's a very broad remit that the organisation has. And I suppose one thing I've learned about it, at its heart, is the word development. They deliver support to develop people, to develop business, to develop products and distribution. And the other thing that delighted me, and not surprised, but delight, was the insights they have to inform discussion on policy. So as chairman, I was already on the board, as I say, but I became even more closely associated with the leadership team. And I was blown away by the way they lived the values for the organization. I left Diageo, and Diageo is a very good organization for values and behaviors and culture. And that's been matched, as I see, within Fáilte. And their passion for Ireland and the regions, their care for the industries. These are not surprises, but these are things that really impress me. And their ability to collaborate well across countless stakeholders. And believe me, within Fáilte, there's an incredible amount of stakeholders that they have to impact and influence. And then their support to the visitor experience sector. I mean, it's actually a strategic pillar within Fáilte Ireland, the whole visitor experience. And that delighted me also when I saw that. And they're extremely committed to that. And their ability to flex in times of crisis or in times of change. Like when I joined as chair, we had a 3 to 5 year strategy. But then you can imagine when COVID hit and the Ukraine war and all that, and all the implications of that, the ability of Fáilte to be able to flex their style very quickly to cope with the current. So those sort of things. The other thing, Diane, that impressed me was I loved the trails, the Wide Atlantic Way, Ireland's Ancient East, the Hidden Heartlands, Dublin. I mean, amazing work done in this space, and beautiful treasures. And there's more exciting stuff to come in that space. So, and finally, I think I'd like to acknowledge that Fáilte, I think, have done great work with the current staffing issue that we have in the industry. We all know, I don't need to mention that to the people listening in, but we are faced with incredible challenges on staffing. And the COVID, that was a huge disruptor to all industries, not just our industry, but it hit us even harder, the service industry. And I think the work that Fáilte have done very recently in that space, and there's a lady called Jenny de Sols who's working very hard in that and has done amazing work. And I think this Employers Excellence program that's been launched at the moment is going to be a game changer. And if I was still working in the industry, I would want to sign up to this because I would want to be an excellent employer and to get my certificate to say that I am that. So yeah, all of those kind of things have impressed me.
Yeah, and that's so lovely to hear because I think values are so important, particularly as we come out of COVID. People have explored what's important to them more than anything, and values just lead that the whole way. And just to also advocate everything you said, I was in the country, obviously, for COVID and the lockdowns, and the support that Fáilte Ireland gave to people was so needed and depended upon, and it was amazing to see compared to a lot of the other conferences and support groups and things. Fáilte Ireland really did pave the way for what people could expect in terms of support. So yeah, it was invaluable.
And it was constant, it was evolving, Diane. I think the COVID charter had to be amended something like 14 or 15 times, and that's an incredible amount of work. And I can honestly say that some of the people in Fáilte Ireland were burning the midnight oil, well into the early hours of the morning, to change as the government and the health authorities were changing the policies and all that. So
you can see that so much appreciate because it did seem to be the same people just constantly, and they never tired from it. It must be so frustrating, and it was a very difficult time for them too. And it really was, and it was an amazing sight to see, and certainly it was like something to be part of. It was a real moment in history as well, so it certainly evolved well. So it's lovely to hear, and lovely to say that's what amazed you rather than just surprised you as well. So you spent many very successful years at the helm of the Guinness Storehouse. What do you think is the secret to a visitor attraction and a visitor experience? Being Irish, it's probably not that hard.
Well, I'm sure there's many people listening in to this who have far better ideas than I, but from my time with it, and bear in mind, my background was hotel management before coming into the kind of visitor experience, and it was one of the best things I ever did. I loved it. So I think the skill set of hospitality, of the customer service and all of that, I think has a big bearing on the success of a very successful attraction. So I think creating a great story is really important, a compelling story, a great visitor experience, and work hard. I would recommend to people work hard on creating a must-do experience and a must-do now experience. Like if you think people coming into parts of Ireland, you want them to come to your attraction. Well, you've got to create a compelling reason for them to go there. So work hard on social media, on great marketing, use every opportunity to highlight your visitor experience so that when people come to Leitrim or Longford or Kerry or wherever your experience is, all of the social media and all of the words are saying you've got to do this experience because. So I think that's important. So great staff interaction, as I've mentioned earlier on. I think that welcome at the door and the goodbye at the end are hugely important and should never be undervalued. And a simple thing like a great food and beverage offer. So if it's a large attraction, make sure you have a great food and beverage offer. If it's a smaller attraction, a great food and beverage offer could be an amazing cup of coffee and scones and sandwiches. It doesn't have to be complicated. Appropriate retail. Retail is an important driver of revenue. And let's face it, you need revenue to keep attractions successful and keep them going, and so that you can continually reinvest in it. So an appropriate retail, look at your retail and see, is it appropriate for the market that you have? And I suppose, create what I was trying to say earlier on, create braggable moments for people to record and document and to post on social media to say, here I am and I'm having a great time, look at me. And when you come to this county, you've got to come here. So I suppose the other final thing was to have a great marketing plan. It doesn't have to be complicated, but just make sure you have a great marketing plan in place and make sure your attraction is profitable. It sounds very simple, but it's very important to make money. It's important to make money because of reinvestment and to keep constantly reinvesting in the product and to be able to attract good staff so you can pay good wages. So look at all your revenue opportunities and maximize them.
Yeah. Oh, that's great advice, because sometimes we forget to go back to the basic recipe for success, and it's so important to revisit that. And then, as you say, visitor expectation, and people are so heightened at the minute. They've so much choice. So yeah, so it's reminding.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was alluding to, is that, you know, the saying is people are cash rich and time poor. So you're fighting for their time while they're in your area, and they'll only go if there's a reason to go there, because time is of the essence.
Yeah. Fabulous. Yeah. And what would your advice be to an attraction in our industry that is looking for support at this time? It's a bit of a big question.
No, I think business are not alone anymore now within our sector. I think that's one of the great things about the creation of AVIA, the Association of Visitor Experiences and Attractions, is that develop that sense of kinship and solidarity amongst the members, you know, that they feel they can reach out to each other. And AVIA, I think, have made it easier to do that. So I'd strongly recommend that you reach out. Don't be afraid. Have big shoulders to say, you know, I need help in this area. And it could be in revenue management, it could be sales and marketing, it could be technology, it could be retail, it could be your food and beverage, it might be your overheads. So Avia have some great knowledge now. They have some great benchmarking. And Catherine Flanagan is a font of knowledge, and she's extremely helpful. So the first point of contact could be to reach out to Catherine and say, look, Catherine, I'm struggling in this area. I need some help. Who do you think within our sector could support me? And we have a lot of very good cooperative people within our sector, and we've some great, thought leaders within our sector that can share their knowledge and are willing to do so. So, and the other final thing I would say is that my own organisation, Fulch Ireland, we are very committed to the experience sector, and we have great talent within our organisation. There's a lady heads it up, Mary. She does an amazing work in that space, and so she would not mind anybody. Mary Stack is her name. Mary wouldn't mind anybody contacting her to say, look, I need help in this area. And reach out to colleagues. And that's the great thing about Avia, is that that didn't exist, 3-4 years ago. So everybody was operating in isolation, but there's no need for that now. So don't be afraid.
I couldn't agree more. And it's not even, I think that before Avia, everyone was operating in isolation, but also in competition, it felt like, whereas Avia has taken that away completely. And it's such a welcoming and open environment that, you get huge attractions and small attractions, and no one's afraid to talk to anyone. Everyone shares their secrets, and if they discover something new, they share discoveries too. So I couldn't agree more. It's invaluable, and totally support the Catherine Flanagan.
You're right. You're spot on, Diane. That that if we all work together, it lifts the whole sector. Everybody benefits. So we're not in competition to each other, and reach out to each other and support each other and develop the whole sector.
Yeah, and I think that goes hand in hand, to go back to your comment at the very beginning about values. I think everyone shares the same values in terms of let's minimize being competitive and lift each other, as you said. So lovely.
Yeah, exactly.
And so finally, this is like to end in a bit of a doom side of things. The world is really struggling at the moment. Even it just seems to be getting worse and worse. And the job market, as you said, is facing extreme challenges, particularly in Ireland, it seems. What do you think could attract someone to work or build a career even in the tourism industry?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I suppose if you take myself, for example, I started life being a chef. I started right there. And then I went into hotel management, and then I went into the visitor experience sector. And little did I know as a 16, 17-year-old that I would one day be chairman of the tourism authority, and I just think if that can happen for me, and I've had a great life. I met my wife in Geneva 45 years ago. while she was working there. We've had 3 beautiful children. I've traveled the world. I've lived in countries all over the world with my family. And I think it's a hugely exciting industry. I think it has so much to offer people. It's enormous opportunities. It's a passport to the world. I've lived through recessions, through the ash clouds, foot and mouth, the Ukraine war, the COVID, and there'll always be, I mean, tourism is quite a volatile industry because it can often be one of the first industries to get hit and one of the last ones to come out. It's that type of industry. But I think if you have a passion for people, if you're a people person and you enjoy the interaction with people and you enjoy the hospitality part of it, and that is a key part of it, there is no other industry, I think, can offer you the choice and variety and enjoyment. And it's very, very broad. If you look at now, you can go and study tourism or hospitality management or hotel management or whatever. But the opportunities within the sector, within tourism, are enormous. And I would strongly recommend it as a career for people who wish to do it. I couldn't think of anything. I can't think of another industry that can give you so much satisfaction. And it's resilient. We will come out of it at the end. And despite all the turmoil at the moment, it's a very fulfilling career. And if you're anyway ambitious and you want to get on, the opportunities are there. They're there for you. So I'd strongly recommend it. And if you look at the World Tourism Organization, they're always, they haven't changed. Tourism will grow, over the years to come. It'll grow 4, 5, 6% exponentially over the years, and it will come back. It's a growing industry.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it's almost being Irish. We're one step ahead because we're so proud of our Irish welcome. So you're already starting at the forefront. So
yeah, we're at a huge advantage, Diane, in that. And in fact, I just saw this morning, Niall Gibbons did a post that Ireland has now been voted the most friendly country in Europe. It's just hot off the press, and it's great to see that. And I think that just supports what you just said. In Ireland, we're made for this industry. It's in our blood, it's in our DNA.
Yeah, I agree. And I think of the opportunities even, for students. And my son is about to go to university next September, and his student job's working at the Carrick rope bridge. So he's starting in the tourism industry just at an early age to explore opportunities.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It's always such a pleasure to talk to you. It really is. And I'm delighted that I'm getting to spend some time with you once again. And I'm looking forward to seeing you at the ABIA conference. Will you be in Wexford?
I will definitely be there, and I'm looking forward to it very much.
Super.
Thank you.